Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so kindly for joining us. Welcome to Green Apple Books in the Park. My name is Cara Johnson. I'm the event coordinator for Green Apple, and tonight I am very happy to welcome Barbara Ramos as we celebrate her book, A Fearless Eye, The Photography of Barbara Ramos, San Francisco and California, 1969 to 1973. Let's give her a hand. Barbara is joined tonight by Alexis Madrigal. Let's give a hand for Alexis. Thank you all so much for joining us here in person. What a great turnout for this evening. If anyone has like an empty seat next to them, can they raise their hand so that anyone standing might, if you want to take advantage of that, please feel free and fill those empty seats. Also, you can stand. I won't stop you from standing. If you want to sit, the opportunity is there. All right. Thank you for joining us here in person and also online. Hello, online audience. I'm waving to the camera if you cannot see. We are broadcasting from San Francisco. We open each of our events with a land acknowledgement, and I think it's really pertinent given that this is a book about San Francisco. So I would like to let you know that we are operating on unceded Ramaytush land. We think that acknowledgement requires action, and so we encourage you to donate either your time, monetary means to an Indigenous organization. Each time you hear a land acknowledgement, we have details at the back desk next to Barbara's book about the Ramaytush Land Trust, which is usually where we direct people if you're interested in how to participate in this project of rematriation. I have very brief business before I let these two take over. Now's a good time to silence your cell phones if you have not already. I ask that you please not take a call in the middle of the event. If you need to take a call, you can step outside and do so, but I would hate to hear a ring in the middle of the thing. That would be a bummer. I think photo taking, how do we feel about photo taking? It's fine, it's fine.
What?
Great. So that's fine. Just don't take a call. Please do check out our full event calendar online at greenapplebooks.com. We have a really great season ahead of us, including the event that you are currently attending. Please do, if you have not already, buy books. Please do buy books from us here at Green Apple. We have them. Thank you. We have them available. If you've been here before, you've certainly heard me say that when you buy books from us, not only do you support us as an independent bookstore, you support the writers and artists who put so much time into making these books, and then you get to have a book, which might be the best part. And tonight's book that we're celebrating is a particularly beautiful one to have, so I would encourage it. The author is here to sign it, or the photographer is here to sign it. Are you going to sign books, Barbara? She'll sign them, so take advantage of it. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the two folks who are joining us tonight. First, Alexis Madrigal is a journalist who lives in Oakland, California. He is the co-host of KQED's current affairs show Forum, an Institute of Public Media, lest we forget, Forum and KQED. He is most recently the author of Green Apple's favorite and required reading for any Bay Area resident, The Pacific Circuit, a globalized account of the battle for the soul of an American city. Let's give one more hand for Alexis Madrigal. Yeah, get on down.
You can get in here.
Awesome. And last but most certainly not least, Barbara Ramos is a photographer with a BFA in photography from the San Francisco Art Institute and a master's degree in interdisciplinary creative arts from San Francisco State. She photographed avidly in the 1970s, but switched careers to start a handcrafted jewelry business and raise a family. Packing away her negatives, this is the story of the book, packing away her negatives and taking new 50-year hiatus from the medium. Her work was rediscovered and digitized during the pandemic, gaining acclaim online and in the fine art space. She lives in San Francisco with her husband, Joe. This book of her work, A Fearless Eye, is the reason we are here tonight. So let's give one more hand for Barbara.
Come on up.
Sure. Man, there is, for me,
Barbara, come sit.
I know.
Oh, okay. It's like, no, she's running away. It's gonna be fun, I promise. There is for me something just really impossibly charismatic and compelling about the San Francisco of the late 1960s and 70s, which we're going to see here really in these incredible photographs. It's a town with a still massive working class. It's a port city with a kind of street cosmopolitanism. It's this recipient of huge numbers of migrants from the South, both black and white, but also from Latin America and the Philippines and lots of other places. And there's really this massive influx of young people, too, from all across the United States who are kind of encountering the old school San Francisco that existed before, hippies got here. The photographs in this book capture this turbulent time in a way that I've never really quite seen. I kind of have imagined it, when you're like, I should write a novel about San Francisco in 1974. You can kind of imagine it, but you can kind of see it here. And they're really brimming with so much life and vitality. And they also do have this amazing time capsule story, which we're going to get into. Thank you so much for joining us, Barbara.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, what you said.
So these photos, they're all shot between 1969 and 1973. What happened to them between then and now, What happened?
I just put them away. I remember coming back from my talk with my counselor for my master's program and getting on the M car and thinking to myself, I am now the photograph.
Huh.
That I didn't need to do this anymore, that I had done what I needed to do, that I had become them because I had to make a living, and all these people were making a living, and I had to be part of that.
Yeah. Because who was the Barbara Ramos of this period? What were you up to during this time?
I was working at the Fairmont Hotel as a photographer. I worked at Finocchio as a photographer. I went to the Art Institute mostly, and I tried to be a hippie, but I wasn't.
Oh, wait, why not though? Why not? Why not? I'm actually curious. Why weren't you a hippie?
I just was too straight. I couldn't bring myself to get into it.
Yeah,
I wasn't a performer. I was kind of in the background looking. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
What kind of photos were you taking in the sort of day job?
Oh, yeah, that was another thing. I was taking photographs at the hotels of people enjoying their dinners or conventions, and I also worked at Finocchio's, which was interesting.
For those who don't know, what was Finocchio's?
It was I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what the proper words are now. It was, what would you call it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Female impersonation. Female impersonation.
Got it. And like a kind of early kind of drag cabaret.
Yeah. And a lot of people thought that I was a female impersonator. They couldn't figure it out, and it was pretty funny. And it was a lot. Mostly, it was to sell liquor. That's what all these places were.
Yeah. So you, at a certain point, you make this, incredible torrent of work. You've got all these negatives.
Yeah.
And you decide that you're done and you're going to do this kind of jewelry business. You're going to move into a different creative realm. You're going to raise a family. You're going to do all these things. Did the negatives really just go sit in the basement?
Yes.
They were just in a box somewhere?
Yeah. Exactly, and nobody ever saw them except my husband.
Did you ever just go down there and kind of open them and
there was
hold
a
them up to the
period
light?
there where I was etching into them. And my said, oh, this is interesting. This is graphically very artistic to paint on them. That was where I wanted to go with it. I wanted to add another level to it. And I wasn't completely happy that they were just completely realistic. I wanted to add another level to it. And then my husband got completely hysterical with me, and he just kind of put them away.
Interesting. A locked box.
Yeah, he did actually.
A timer on it.
Yeah. I was throwing them in the garbage. That one goes, this one is here. That one, I was perfectionist. It wasn't perfectly graphically correct for me. It was down the drain,
Wow.
Yeah, that way I'm a perfectionist. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, do you regret leaving them in the box?
No, not at all.
You feel like it was the right time for them to come back
I feel my life was a series of progression. It wasn't a straight line, but it was each period of my life was pretty intense. And I moved on to the next intense period of my life.
So what made the space for you to come back to this one then?
It was a pandemic, you know, and it was, as we all know, we all went through our pandemic story, and my husband said to me, "You need to get your photography," and because he had been doing it all along, and I was terrified of photographing again. I was fearful that I couldn't photograph, that I didn't have the gift. I felt it was a gift that was given to me, you know, something that came through me, and I didn't feel I still had it. I didn't know if I had it. Although even
let's hold it and find out if you still had it. We'll tell them at the end.
I do still have it. But I also, you know, even though I wasn't photographing, I was photographing. I have memories of things that are very clear. I mean, photographic memories in my head of every time period.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. I wish we had those too, actually, which you will too after you see these. Hold on. Before we get into this, let's look at some of these. This is on the cover of the book. Here, I just want to note as we look at the projection here that the toning of things is going to be a little different in the book, right? It's like a little softer. There's like the grays are a little grayer. It's just a little slightly different. But composition-wise, what are we looking at here?
Actually, if you look here, you realize it's Portsmouth Square in Chinatown.
Oh.
You can see if anybody recognizes
that. Yeah.
But,
the woodwork over there. And who are these ladies?
Well, I'll tell you where it comes from because I've tried to figure this out. You know, that my father worked in the industry. And
which industry?
The movie industry.
Oh, okay.
He did the coming attractions.
As a radio guy, I'm like, oh, you mean the radio industry?
No, movie industry. And he was blacklisted. He worked from home. So I used to see the stills of what he was working on, and I actually have the table that he worked on. And I mean, that's a whole other part of my life. I mean, I have a lot of parts of my life that are actually very
We're just doing 40 years tonight.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's it.
I have a lot of parts of my life. Anyway, at the time, she is the woman that was being promoted in the movie industry. This is Janet Leigh. This is Marilyn Monroe. And she was. This is what.
Wait, somebody tell me, because I don't know.
What do you mean?
I don't know the actress.
You don't know Janet Leigh?
No. Do you all know? Like every single person here knows this over me?
Janet Leigh, was she in the Hitchcock film? Yeah. In Hitchcock? Oh my God! I love it. I love it. That's so great.
I feel like I watched a lot of old movies. I don't know.
You've never seen The Birds?
Yeah.
She's in The Birds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Psycho. Wait.
Psycho.
She was in Psycho. The scene in the shower.
Yeah.
That's her?
That's her.
Okay, I know who that is. Okay, fine. I know who that is. Not by name, but I know who that is.
But that was the image that was being promoted, and all the women in the country had to look like this, you know, and I didn't look like this, so it was very confusing for me as a young woman and as a child to have to understand that, you know.
Like sort of vaguely evil with a beehive?
Yeah.
Was that the word? Oh, sorry.
We all wore our hair like, well, I didn't, but most women wear their hair.
What was that hairstyle called?
A ratted something or other. What is it called? I don't know.
It's coming back, I'm sure.
Hairspray.
Yeah. And how about down here? I mean, one of the things that really makes this image, as I look at it here, is like just the popcorn lettering down there. I just think it's so good, you know.
Oh,
man, that's good. And
that's interesting. Is I generally don't use lettering in my work. I don't. There's something about it.
Well, it's like too charismatic. Yeah. I just want to go there.
Yeah.
Man, and how did you get this picture? Do you remember how you made this image?
I just get in a weird space and I just get
But like a movie star just happened to be in Portsmouth Square and you happen to be there and like...
I just get into like a...
alternative fugue state. Yeah. All right.
I still do.
When you're photographing, you still do. And was your approach to street photography that you'd have made this image and you would have been like, hey y'all, I just took your picture, or was it more like you're just like, you know?
Sometimes I talked to people, sometimes I didn't. Yeah.
Depending on their reaction to what was happening?
I don't really know. I mean, I just
feel.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Oh man, such a good image. I'm just gonna. I don't know if this is a lowrider or not, but I'm gonna pretend it's a lowrider. Tell us more about this
Well,
image.
from a graphic standpoint, or from an emotional standpoint, the little girl is expressing what the father is feeling. I mean, I'm saying this now. I didn't know it at the time, but he was just sitting there, and he was so comfortable, and I took his photograph. It wasn't.
I mean, that car is meant to be photographed, so I mean, I didn't know how good the photograph was. That was one of the photographs that I might have gotten rid of. I might not have known that it was that good. Yeah, that face on that little car.
And you know, there's actually tools in the car for gardening and stuff that you can't see in this photograph.
Sure. So you know, one thing I noticed about the book, maybe worth noting, is most of these photographs are in San Francisco. A few were largely in Venice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What found you down there?
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and
Wait, what part?
The Encino area, by Van Nuys, all that.
Yeah. No, I spent like years, like 6 through 10 in Sylmar. Anyone know where that is?
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't know where that is. But
Yeah,
that's where
I
it
do
is.
know. I loved LA. I loved the light. I loved bright light. I grew up in bright light. Well, at least when I moved from New York, it was kind of dull light. When I moved to California, and I loved that bright light. And when I came to San Francisco, it was very dull, and I had a really hard time.
You mean the light, not the place. Yeah.
The light was dull, and it disturbed me. I never thought I had a good photograph because I was used to working with bright light, because photography, really in reality, is just light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're working in film, obviously, here. Did you have like particular film stock that you loved? Were you working, like you said, bright lights, or were you working ISO 100, or what were you kind of working
400 Tri-X, but I wasn't a technical person at all, as my husband can attest. I was a horrible darkroom person. I didn't like it that much. I mean, I did it. But
you know, this is an interesting point too. How many of these photos did you print contemporaneously? Like none, basically, right?
None. I never printed. I was funny. I never printed anything. I just wanted a photograph. I would bring it to I worked in my darkroom at home. I had it in my kitchen, and the next morning I would bring it in a tray, and it'd be folded up, and I'd put it on the wall. And I really didn't care how people responded, or I had no interest in that. I just liked photographing.
What do you think was driving that?
It was an obsession on my part, you know, just like I like to draw obsessively. It's my nature. Yeah.
Oh man, that hair. Look at that hair.
Well, this is really interesting because I had it on my Facebook, and somebody popped in and told me that was their aunt and uncle, and I got very excited because I wanted to send them the photographs, because I had done that with another photograph.
Yeah. And
she said, no, they're not together. They don't want the photograph. Which I really love. But this is just a beautiful photograph graphically. You know, if you take any of the elements away, it wouldn't work.
The car, the hillside, the guy with the hat, the telephone pole. What are the other elements you see in here?
Well, the man with the hat looking that direction was important. He was wonderful. I loved his hair. You know, the woman's with the baby, holding the baby, and he's not holding the baby.
And that's a look on her face too, right?
You're like, I'm holding the baby.
Like, yeah, guess from here, are they still together? You know, you're like.
But they're just such beautiful people too, physically, and you know, her shoes are so typical of the time period. Everything. And everybody who is familiar with San Francisco and has lived here know where this location is. I mean, it's a pretty well-known location, so that's pretty interesting.
Let me think about it. I live in Oakland. Do I know where this is? Is this over by KQED, like near Potrero Hill?
What is that? What is it?
Brian's.
Yeah, okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like that was like a live test. I think.
And also, the perspective is wonderful, which is typical of when you draw. You learn about perspective. So I was translating it to a photograph.
Tell me more about that. As a non-drawer.
One of the first things you learn about is about perspective in drawing.
Just in the sense that you can sort of see that the way that the street is like arching up and then away from you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Oh man.
Okay.
Anyone know where this is? Before you tell them, anyone know where this is?
Really, you don't know?
The bikers are kind of a giveaway. They were involved.
Yeah.
Altamont.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
I mean, Altamont was. I wasn't the kind of person who would have gone to Altamont, but my sister's friend was going, so I went with her, and it was amazing because it felt like Dante's Inferno, where it was like a big bowl, and my friend was sitting at the top having a picnic, and I was rather bored. So I started trekking down to the middle, and it just felt like it was getting more and more towards hell, and that's where
in terms of sort of the activities, like
just a group. I have other photographs of people like picnicking and having their own hi-fis with them, listening to music, and then as you got down towards the middle, it got more and more intense and more scary. And I actually have a picture of the middle with the bus with Janet Joplin in the bus, but it's with her hairdo, you can tell it's her. I have all the different levels of other photographs.
Wow.
And he was kind of like at the bottom. And
you're right. This is, I mean, one of the things that is appealing about this photograph is the way that the landscape is sort of nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the grass is nothing, the light in the horizon is nothing, and then there's sort of what I would normally have read as San Francisco fog, but there must have been something else happening.
This is Altamont.
Yeah, Altamont, so not fog.
Yeah.
So what,
I mean, it was eerie. The area was eerie. I don't know how I got home. I really don't remember how. I know I didn't go back with my friend. So I have no idea. See, that's kind of like with the time.
Maybe you woke up and you got a ride back.
Yeah, hi. I was like, oh, no. You're funny. No, that's kind of like what the time period was like, just things kind of happen for me.
No, such a, did he wake up while you were photographing, or was he just out on that thing?
He was out. I don't remember him waking up, although I did take other photos of him.
Yeah. And what was going on in the back? What were these people doing?
The bikers were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That area is still, by the way, so a little creepy, I think. I love it. Do you have an interaction with her? It feels like you had an interaction with her.
I mean, this is North Beach, which it feels like North Beach. And I did a talk at the San Francisco Library for a bunch of interns, young interns that were working there. They weren't getting into it, So because it was another time period, they were kind of like, didn't get it quite late. But then I described to them how she made her own jacket. You can tell that she sewed her own jacket by the way. I mean, I know the pattern. So we talked about clothing being sewn at that point. I mean, there were fabric stores are everywhere. So
like, how would you have at that time, like, and you have run into her? Like, how would you have read her? Like, you'd have been like, a woman from this part of town. Like, what would you have thought?
I think I had a lot of empathy for my parents, which I don't know if that people still feel those things now.
Oh, yeah.
But I was the youngest, and I left home, and I just had I took a lot of pictures of old people, and I found it kind of some solace in talking to them.
Yeah.
And as this also.
Where is this picture?
This is really interesting. I used to love missions. I thought they were very beautiful, and I went to the San Fernando mission, and I went there, and there was literally nothing there. I just tried to get some spiritual thing out of it, and nothing was happening. It's like there must be something interesting here with the light, and there's nothing happening. And then I went to the outside the parking lot, and then I saw her. And then I said that was it. And she's the grandma and he's the grandchild. And it's interesting that I would understand this even though I wasn't old, that this is the connection between the grandmother and the grandchild, that I would have that understanding or empathy at that age.
I mean, what would you say is the connection? I feel like this photograph just on its face kind of tells the story of disconnection a little bit.
Yeah, that's
like this kid again.
No.
I like the other one.
No.
No?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
I don't know. The kid's face. I love the kid's face. Just the one eye visible.
Yeah.
Under the steering wheel. Like he looks set on something already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the Kleenex box really makes this photo too, I think.
It's funny. It could have been not there, and how would it have been different?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's the element of this photo that kind of is like tilted on its side.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love her hair too. In the photograph I get to look at that has the kind of richer toning, the little wisps of hair at the back are catching the light just incredibly perfectly. So nice.
Yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite photos. I just really love this photo.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's an older person reaching out, and I identify with it now.
I love the thumb in the hook of the cane. It's just like a perfect. I don't know. There's lots of things I love about this one, and her. What would you call the thing in her hair? Is that a fascinator? What are like when someone's got a little?
A comb.
It's just a comb. That's all it is. The comb.
Spanish comb.
Oh, so
Her
cool.
eyebrows are wonderful, but
Oh God, I didn't even know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Does anybody identify here with this photograph of anybody in their family and stuff? Yeah. I think there's a familiarity for people.
It's interesting. Her chains, her necklaces.
Yeah.
Kind of got that Southwest look to it. I don't know.
I actually talked to her son.
Huh?
And
how?
He was there. I have a photograph of him, and I asked him if it was okay.
I love it. Yeah. Now, my Mexican grandma has some of this put togetherness, like that. Some of the even if I've got a blanket on my lap, I'm wearing my furs. She's got a little bit of that going. Yeah, I love it. Also, the hands kind of coming out. Where was this one taken?
In Los Angeles. I don't remember exactly the location, but she's wonderful.
Lovely. Love that one too.
Well, people smoked back then. I mean, really smoked.
I've heard.
My mom smoked 3 packs a day, so I'm familiar with all the movements of the hands and the how it comes out of the mouth and everything else.
This is like a New Yorker caption contest, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the code is handmade, which is. See, all these things are new that I realize now. It wasn't at the time when I was taking the photographs. I didn't.
The fabric too. I mean, again, the fabric is so rich and beautiful, and the way it's sitting. Well, how do you know it's handmade?
Because I sew it and I know fabric. I know the patterns.
Huh.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't think I've seen a color like that ever in my life.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, like I said, this is all in retrospect. At the time, I just couldn't get enough of it. I don't know what was going on in my head. And I'm really into reflections. I was about to say,
that's the thing. It almost seeps out of the photo. Like you don't notice it at first because you notice her. Yeah. And then you're like, wait, how is she leading me like that? That's a window. Yeah. So beautiful. Also, the guy, even just like the leg posture of a man, I think it's interesting.
I love men in suits. I thought they were so silly at the time. I love them walking around in their suits. I used to laugh, and they'd gather and they'd be so serious in what they were doing.
Men in suits are silly. You're totally, absolutely.
Yeah. At the time, I didn't know that, but I used to laugh a lot about that. How they gathered together and talked, so importantly. And I have a lot of photographs like that aren't in the book.
I love that.
Yeah.
Gosh. Also North Beach here, maybe?
Yeah.
Where is this? Department store, right?
Emporium.
Yeah.
And many of you might remember Emporium.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, though, for those who don't. Tell us about it.
It was downtown. It was a department store. It was where everybody went. There was, what you call it there, Woolworths across the street, which I absolutely love Woolworths. I wish I had taken photos.
That was kind of like by the turnaround of
Yeah. And so this is another photograph that I didn't realize was really, really important. Didn't understand it at the time. because this was post, what do you call it?
Civil rights.
Civil rights, desegregation.
Yeah, yeah. So you would never have seen a black man in the store, working in a store up to that point.
Not this kind of store, at least. Yeah.
No. Yeah, right. The
Yeah.
department store. And seeing the son, the child being so happy to see someone that looks like him, and the mother in the background being, there's a little confusion with the mother in the background, what is going on there, but she's probably confused too. You know, you're photographing my son, but also I'm so proud of him.
Yeah. Also, that little hand on the counter.
Yeah.
You know, just the.
And he's dressed up to go to
Yeah.
Dressed up for going there, yeah.
Yeah.
In those times, everybody dressed up to go
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to dress up to photograph.
I did.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you this. This is funny. I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to ask you if you had like the fit.
You know,
To,
Joe
like,
used-
go out
Joe
and
used
take
to worry
some-
about it because I get dressed up. I bring nylons and everything else. I get dressed up. Weird.
Because you felt like the photographs were received better.
I
Like
have
you
no
seemed
idea.
more.
I don't know why. I was just weird. I don't know why.
Yeah. You know, there's an incredible. I
nothing
actually
that-
think it's a Dorothea Lange series of photographs that are outside the. There used to be a market on kind of in downtown Oakland. And there's this incredible series of Dorothea Lange photographs of people coming out of the market.
Wow.
You know, in the type war era.
Yeah.
And everyone is dressed up like you're saying. People are wearing the fanciest stuff, going to like buy market stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, women didn't wear pants. That was new. That was a big deal to wear pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God things changed.
Yeah.
But that little hand, that's what really stuck out to me from the book. Oh man, this is.
This is painful for me.
Yeah.
And it's just painful.
Yeah, it's almost like interesting about this photograph. You know, viewing it with no context at all, is it does sort of look like the guy, you know, getting the haircut, getting the shoe shine, kind of looks caught in something a little bit. You know.
Oh, you mean that I photographed him? Probably.
Yeah, like in a way that I don't necessarily associate with men in that position of that time, you know, thinking like they were, maybe this is something that should be painful, you know? Yeah. Well, let's reflect and move on. Aha, where are we here?
I think it was a peace rally. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Golden Gate Park. It's just a really good photo. Yeah, it's really meaningful.
Yeah. I kind of file this under, you know, it's fun to be young, you know, and on the left side of the photo. And then you've got the two folks on the other side, and it's, you know, yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think is
Well, it
going
was a
on?
transitional time, and they weren't used to seeing
Yeah.
men kissing, so
Right.
they were very confused by
One
it.
staring, one looking
and
away.
they don't know
Yeah.
what to do with it.
Yeah. No, I love
Yeah.
that these photos capture that transitional time, right?
Yeah.
It's like even, you know, you imagine this book, let's say it's set from 66 to 1970.
Yeah,
It feels like it's a different book from 69 to 73.
yeah.
But also, you know, I still kind of like her. Yes, you know, the flowered jacket and the
They just don't know how to handle it.
yeah. No, it's no, you know, it's not. You know, there's famous photographs of hatred in our American culture, like famous photos of desegregation of schools and things. And that's not exactly what you see here. You see something like a little more subtle.
Yeah.
About what it's like to experience social change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was just amazing.
Yeah, like so you're walking along and you're like, holy shit, you know, is that what happened? Or like, no, you posed them. No, I'm just kidding. But how did this? I assume you remember how this photograph came about.
I was in Venice, and there was a man. I have another photograph of their father holding a glass of wine or beer or something.
Oh yeah.
And he's
I love that his belt is rope.
yeah, and
Yeah.
of course I think he's trying to flirt or something, or doesn't understand really what's happening, or why am I doing this, or but it must be that, because why would I be doing that? So then I just hung around and I started taking photos. And
And they're just like neighborhood kids. These are just like
Venice, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, this is definitely typical of the time period. Kids played with guns.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
And kids were, and the families were pro the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So this is what this is. Yeah.
I was also wondering if the "We Do Care" was that a slogan of the time for somebody?
I think it still is, isn't it? I mean,
Like we do care. Like did that? I guess what I was trying to read. Does it mean like we do care about America? About
Make America Great Again thing.
Yeah. I mean,
but it sounds like a response. Like people are saying like we don't care about the flag, and they're like we do care about the flag. Is that what it was?
Similar.
Huh.
I mean, I could do a whole dissertation on this. I could go on and on and on effort about this. I mean, I was really opposed to the war, so it was kind of shocked to me to see this. And we saw that the kids were being programmed,
Right.
as they are now.
Sure.
So it's a pattern that so much of my photographs are a pattern of what's happening now, and I think that might be the reason why people are responding to it on an unconscious level.
Like a kind of foreshadowing of this.
Well, it's a pattern over and over and over again. We can't seem to break out of it. Even as much as we fight back against it, it just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
And that's what's so depressing about right now.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Great photo.
So this is really interesting in that Rachel Kushner, who was one of the people that wrote in the book, she grew up in San Francisco and she wrote about being
Fantastic novelist. Latest book, Creation Lake.
Yeah, she's a really sweet person too. But anyway, she talked about this that when she was going to Galileo, I think Washington. She mentioned that the kids would the black kids would be in ROTC, okay. So and that they felt it wasn't that they wanted to go in the military; they were just taking great pride in being in the ROTC, and the people who were opposed to the war were opposed to the ROTC. So there was a confusion on what was really going on. Even when I took this photograph, I didn't really understand it until Rachel described it to me.
I do think the military might have meant something a little different to people when, for so long, a lot of black men were confined to just being mess men, just like cleaning up and officers, cooking, doing these kinds of things. And then you have Truman come along, you have all these things, you have the internal agitation and you being an officer, right? I mean, this is people who are training to be officers, That's another one, man.
Yeah.
Movement in that photograph is...
Well, I see kind of photography as kind of dance, and even in myself that I'm kind of dancing along with them. So that's what that photograph is.
Yeah, this really does have that feeling, right? Even of her sort of leaning in and leaning back. With movement. Yeah. What was the rent here? Do you like the van says rent here?
Oh. I have no idea.
Yeah, sorry, clearly I'm a text guy.
Oh
I'm
God.
Like, look at all the text.
Oh my God, I didn't even notice that. That's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what could you rent at the...
Well, maybe all the military equipment and stuff was in there.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Oh man, do you remember the bus?
Yeah. I mean, this is one of my favorite photos.
Walk us through. Why is it one of your favorites?
I just got in front of him and photographed. I remember being like, okay, I'm getting in front of you and photographing you, and he just was not having it. But other people would be
You look so friendly. I can't understand why.
And I knew when the perspective thing, it was just so perfect. This guy is so great right here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people at the time when I took this photograph and I brought it to school, they just thought I was just horrible. That I was, how dare I photograph somebody who felt so hostile towards me? But
he's just over.
But I just ignored them all.
Yeah, the two different guys over each shoulder, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of that from my school at school when I bought the photographs. And like, why are they all so hostile? Why aren't they smiling? And that was hard on me, that they didn't understand.
And what did you think was going on that they didn't understand? Just that it was okay that they were having these different reactions to your photograph? That the subjects, I mean, were having.
How did I feel about the subject? Was
Yeah.
I mean, this is unusual. This one, I didn't.
Yeah.
He was just so beautiful, to me.
He had a suit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and they were just great.
Although I do kind of feel like if you were to fight him, he'd like come at you like this.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, but I took the bus all the time. I took a lot of bus photos. I have a lot of great bus photos that aren't in the book.
Yeah.
And I have a lot to do with transportation, you know, it's people on the street waiting for buses.
Yeah.
That is different than now, which I think people feel that without realizing it when they look at my work, that there was another time when we actually got together in a bus.
Huh.
Yeah.
Also, there's to your point about reflections, the reflection in his sunglasses is very beautiful. Yeah. Oh man, so this was in Manila town, yeah.
Yeah. And as my husband pointed out, women were not supposed to go in there. I had someone.
Maybe you were a pool shark. You know?
I was kind of invisible. You know, I just did what I needed to do. And I'm so grateful I took the photos because they're historically important.
Yeah. I'm just building all of my future fashion around this one person. That's it. I'm getting it, you know, the whole thing. Even buttoning all 3 buttons of the 3-button coat. I know it's you're not supposed to do it, but I mean, there it is. Looks cool. And the chucks. I mean, the whole thing is fascinating. Man, do you have any other? So you have other photos from the same cool hall shoot?
I mean, like I said, I'm very happy I took the photos.
Mm-hmm.
It's just right across from, iHotel.
Yes, people are familiar maybe with that story, told in different venues at different times. I love, when I think of carnies, I think of these guys, really, pretty much. Right? That's what the title for this one is, Carnies with Whips. And I'm like, checks it out. It's right there on the tin.
Yeah, it was the day before Playland closed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I had long conversations with all these people, and I wanted to go with them. I was ready to play.
Like on the circus, you're just gonna let's do it. Okay, you're gonna run away to the circus.
I really was. It was not. I'm not joking. It was my change. I was going to do that. And also, this is with 35 millimeter, and I had a fear of using 35 millimeter. I felt that my photographs weren't as good. Yeah,
you liked 50 or something?
I know, I like 2 1/4, which is a square camera that you look down into, and I felt that that's what the magic was all about. That's the reason my photographs were so strong, because I was using a 2 1/4. And I was really fearful that I couldn't get photographs with the configuration of a 35 millimeter, which is a different shape.
Yeah, sure.
And I took these photographs were all taken with 35 millimeter, and they're really good photos.
Yeah.
And it was appropriate for that too. It was the right camera for it.
Quick question though, why does a carny need a whip though? That was
I think they were I just think they were hanging out, and it was the end. And they probably had animals there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, they were just great.
Yeah, no, I mean the nose on this guy, love it. The hair, there's kind of this slight forward lean, just everything about it. And the shoes too, man.
Yeah, I have a lot of good photographs from the last day.
Yeah, I love that.
I have the photograph of the restaurant that was closing that day, of the man in the restaurant, and I knew that it was his last day. I felt real sad for him, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah. And a lot of people talk about this, and I didn't realize, that's another one, I didn't realize this was a strong photo and an important photograph at the time.
So tell first that we need to. These are televisions.
Yes.
Right in the bus station.
Yes.
Like coin operated televisions.
Does anybody else remember these?
Is that Greyhound?
Yeah. Do you remember them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea what I was looking at until I read essays, and now I'm like, coin operated televisions.
Yeah. And I think
was there one channel? Like, what was going on? I mean, did they change the channel? Like,
I think you could change the channel. Yeah, I think from my memory. But see, I didn't know that this was a historically important photograph when I took it. You know.
Yeah.
My husband was photographing in Salinas every weekend, and we used to take the Greyhound bus together, and that's where and I remember being bored, being in a bus depot, like, oh God, I'm in the bus depot again. But then I found this photograph.
that guy behind him, man. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, just, I don't know, Grapes of Wrath vibes, you know?
Well,
It's
it's kind of
just,
like he's hovering, and he's kind of
yeah,
like
yeah, freeloading, you know?
Freeloading. He probably couldn't understand what I was doing because I wasn't freeloading. I was in front of him, but yeah.
But also even just the like kind of sensuous shape of the little television housing there is awesome too, you know? I literally never seen anything like that.
Well, people lived up in small apartments south of Market, and so they would come, and they didn't have TV, so they'd probably come here and watch.
Well, I also, some people may know I'm like obsessed with the dock workers, and my other thought was old dock worker, that guy in the back. Particularly if it was in Soma, where a lot of the old dock workers lived in like single resident occupancy hotels and things before they were all bulldozed down there.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
We're running out of time. I want to ask you a couple of concluding questions before we give folks here a chance to ask some stuff. So I understand you put the camera away until you started working on this project, right?
Yes.
I mean, you were taking photographs of the mind, but not of,
exactly,
not any that could be printed. So when did you take it back up? Was it this project that brought you back into this art form? And how do you think your photography has changed from this period?
I mean, if it weren't for the pandemic, I never would have looked at the work.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started looking at the work, I realized,
like, dang, I'm good. That's good.
Yeah. And as I've said before, everything I do in my life, I'm rather obsessive. So it was like I let go of one obsessive period, and now I'm going back to another obsessive period dealing with the photography. And it was fun going. I didn't want to go on Facebook; it wasn't my thing. But my husband kept insisting I have to go on Facebook, and I'm going, oh my god! And then so I went on Facebook, and I just. It become like a moving movie show. Like, oh, okay, this is this photograph this day, and the next day, how do I bring the person to see the photograph the next day? And so you lure people along with appropriate photographs along the way. So it became my job to figure that out.
And so did you start on this with your archival work that you started posting them there? Like
Yeah. I did put other work onto, and my other work is strong.
And is that how your Chronicle editor, is that how this work was found? They like saw this stuff going up on Facebook, or what, did you start to go like, we should publish this? Like, how'd that happen?
How did it first start? There's a magazine called Black and White Photography. There's two of them. There's one from England, one from the United States. And a man named Stephen Heller contacted me, and he said, I'd like to do an article about you. And we didn't know who he was or anything. I mean, this guy started talking to me. It was really interesting. I loved talking to him. I didn't know who he was. And he just became a wonderful conversations with him. And then he wrote a 14-page article. And he and his editor, Dean Brealey, he's written another article about the book that's going to come out in August. They're just wonderful people. They were just so sweet. And I really appreciated that. And then Sally Stein, who is a critic, well-known critic, who did was involved with Dorothea Lange and other people. And her husband, I forget her husband's name, he's very famous. Anyway, she wanted to get me a book. And so she found Chronicle Books.
Was Dorothea Lange, when you were making these photos, was she someone that you knew at the time? Was it?
Oh yeah, I knew of her work, but I've never been interested in other photographers. I never looked at other photographers. I didn't have enough patience. I don't know what. I still don't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I do. I think particularly Dorothea Lange's photographs around the Bay Area in the kind of mid-century. They do. There's a kind of I don't know, a rhyming, a consonant.
Actually, during the time period that I didn't photograph, it was painful for me to look at photography books. Yeah.
Here's a question that I was really wondering, because you sort of took a bunch of photos from 1969 and 1973, and then picked it back up basically after the pandemic. How different do you think people are around cameras? Like now cameras are ubiquitous. Before, if you saw someone with a camera, it kind of meant something. They had a thing with them. Now, like every single one of us here has a camera. So How do you think people's like behavior towards cameras has changed?
I mean, that's a good question. I think beside that issue,
Yeah.
I think we're dealing with a problem right now where they may take our ability to photograph away. And that's what I'm worried about at the moment. You know, they don't, you know, the Supreme Court or whatever, I have a concern about that. Because there seems to be a lot of chatter around, I don't want my photograph taken. And that's been disturbing me a little bit. But that's another subject matter, but that's what's been going on in my head.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't let you take photographs in rodeos, they don't let you take photographs in state parks, not state parks, the state fairs and all that stuff. So it's been a change as far as that issue since I photographed. People do not want to be photographed.
You know, it's interesting because I was thinking, you know, when I was proffering my own answer to this question, it was that people want to have more control over their image in a way. It's like, because we all can take a selfie anytime we want. Yeah. It's kind of like, as someone who has to get my photo taken now and again, I'm always kind of like, can I just take it? You know, I would rather know what the image is being produced. I'd rather, you know, there's a kind of consciousness around it that feels quite different.
I haven't gotten that.
That's interesting.
No.
I have these old recordings too. There were these paper records that were made during the mid-century called recordios, and I collected them for a while. So you have all these people who've never like spoken into a microphone before, you know, and they're like recording their own records. And there's a kind of lack of self-consciousness that there's like no way that someone now would have around, you know, being recorded or doing recordings.
Yeah, I don't, generally, I don't have a problem. And I know maybe it's just me.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Here's last question before we go to audience questions, so get yours ready here. What do you think the most important change to urban life in San Francisco has been between these kind of two periods? Because you're out walking around taking pictures, like you're kind of like, oh man, city used to be like this and now it's like that.
People aren't aware of each other. There's just no peripheral vision. Just getting where they want to get, and that's it. Don't take pride in the city or don't have an interest of knowing other people, except people that are like themselves. So, yeah.
On that depressing note.
I realize that. Can I say something positive?
Yes, say something positive. Yeah, good.
Oh no, it's another thing. There's no children around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But what else? Can I think of?
Oh, you mean there's no in the city? Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You know, one fascinating thing that I, you know, when I was researching various things through time, there were so many people under 18 here in the late 1960s. I think, you know, I can't remember exactly what the stat was, so don't take this totally as, you know, I cited this, but I think it was something like 40% of the black population of San Francisco was under 18 in the late 1960s, which is just like totally unthinkable. It's like 4 times what it is now, you know, it's wild.
Yeah, you think about it, everybody living in these Victorians at that age.
Yeah. All right, let's take some questions. I'll give you one more picture to look at.
It turns out that my friend knew him.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was fun.
I know I recently passed away, unfortunately, but an excellent mustache, a model for us all.
He was very handsome.
I like all that. The eyebrows, speaking of eyebrows, I mean, look at those eyebrows. Oh yeah, we can turn the lights up. Okay,
so he was, I mean, behind the window, you understand?
This is at Macy's, right? Yeah. A window dresser, is that what these folks are called? Yeah. I still call this, so somebody still does this shit. All right, do we have any questions here? Questions? Let's go right here, in the hat. Well, there's 2 people in the hat. Closer to me. Yeah, go ahead.
So first off, killer book.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was gonna, like, see things that I saw in the book that were very strong. The daily life of a San Franciscan and Californian has always had this very interesting intertwined nature with like the Latin American aesthetic and the idea of the working class. Yeah. And I think you were able to highlight something that maybe the people that were documenting the 60s forgot, which was that there was a lot of people always here.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, the reason why 40% of the black population that was under 18 is no longer in San Francisco is because they were drafted and sent out to be the first one. That's just so that you kind of get a gauge as to why.
Well, I mean, and the displacement of all kinds of people. There's a lot of, a lot of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the biggest things to note as well, one of the things that really touched me about your photo book was that there was a really strong sense in ownership of the terrain that you were inhabiting, whether you were experiencing it through like being in a space where no women were allowed, or in a space where maybe you saw a certain sense of like strength within the unknown. And I think that terrain as what I would assume a female photographer at the time was going through these different virtues while still seeing the symbolism of American propaganda being pushed forward. Like,
sure.
The visual narrative that some people notice when it comes to wardrobing, where you were seeing the shift from having to create your own wardrobe into that new sense of purchase power that came into American society.
Yeah.
So thanks for like being bored during the pandemic and giving
I know, right?
You're very sweet. Thank you.
As a painter, I think that you've done so much to improve the catalyst of San Francisco, where so many people come in and write about this city, or Oakland, or the Bay Area, and have this whimsical idea of like what could have been. You reminded a lot of us what has always been here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That was my question was just thank you.
Oh, oh my God, thank you so much too.
My question is actually more of a comment also as a photographer, and so a couple of things, like this moment in time that you've documented and shared is sort of between eras in a way. It's like the space between that is not highlighted. So just in history, like visually. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
But also, I really what resonated for me, I'm a photographer as well, is photography for me has always been a way of note keeping. Instead of writing, the camera, I shot film with shorthand. I can take a quick picture. That was that moment. That was that story. And so I can see that, like, putting your work down and closing the book, you put your journals away. And there's a point at which we bring the journals out again. As creatives, whether you're a photographer, a writer, or a painter, you open those drawers again.
So it's a personal thing that I needed to put away.
That resonated to me in that regard. Yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
That is one great thing about too, the kind of physicality of the negatives too. You got to have them like really sitting somewhere. I mean, if all your digital photos in 40 years, like, are you really gonna access them? It's like
That's
you're gonna have like 10,000 gigabytes in Apple's cloud.
That's true. That's really true. Oh, wow.
Yeah, sure.
I have I guess more of a technical question, but can you tell us about your camera or cameras?
I should have brought them. I brought them to the last one. I forgot to bring.
Do you remember getting your first one?
Oh yeah, it was very exciting. I was at San Fernando Valley State, and at that time they rented cameras out, and there was a door that you went to, a guy with a half door, and the guy was behind there. He says, "What camera do you want?" And I said, "I wanted a Yashica." The Yashica tuna quarter. And I remember him teaching me how to use it. It's quite a wonderful memory.
That's cool. That is fun to imagine you kind of like looking down rather than like.
And it was a miracle. And when I took my first roll of film and I looked at it and I said, "Oh my God, these were perfectly composed. How did I do that?" and then I took another one. Wow.
Like, this is my tool. Yeah.
I mean, it's like there must be some genetics in me that is talking through me because I don't know how I did that. I still don't know how I do it. I think we all have our gifts.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
Yes. So.
Oh yeah, we'll go here first.
Oh, myself.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Barbara, I think it's so refreshing not to see the Photoshoppy thing going on and not seeing editing and cutting. I love it. It was so refreshing to just because we're so inundated now with Photoshop.
With perfection, some kind of weird perfection.
And change the color and take out the background.
It's a whole different thing. It really is.
And it can be beautiful too, but it's refreshing to see now how we used to work.
That's really true. And
And that lack of cropping, like we were
that was something I was taught. You never crop. Nowadays you would not know that, but it's like it was a sin to crop. That you were told that on your first photo class.
Yeah.
So you were forced to see. Yeah,
See.
to graphically see.
The space you had.
Yeah, there was no.
I also think a lot about how much like people take most of the photos in the world probably are taken with these, our phones, and the iPhone does so much pre-processing before it even you think you're not doing anything. There's no filter, but it's like doing all this stuff back there. And I've been using this app recently where it like pulls all that stuff out, and you're like, oh, it's like taking a real picture again. Like some of the lighting conditions, the iPhone is just constantly it's doing, HDR on all photos, and it's so much harder to take pictures with a real camera than it is with an iPhone. So.
Wow, that's wow.
I was wondering, at that time, when I saw, especially the one on Bryant and 16th Street, really hit the core for me because I got spit on the bus. And I came out to that very scene, and it was rough. But looking at you, thinking of you taking these pictures, being a woman, do you feel you had more accessibility because they didn't feel as threatened or more threatened? What was your experience as? Because in those days it was all male photographers mostly.
I really don't know. I think you're probably right. It probably was easier, but I really don't.
Yeah. You just did it. I just did it. I didn't care one way or the other. I was completely in my own space, and
that's
it was so exciting. That's what art is.
Yes.
That's what painting should be. That's what, not with all the crazy stuff that happens with painting now, where it's digitalized. Most painting. But don't you appreciate that you were a woman doing this? Yeah, I didn't think about it. I just assumed that I had a right to do it. I didn't care, That's great. Yeah. I don't know why I felt that way. It was unusual.
Last question in the back.
I'm super curious to learn what you learned about people by their reactions.
Wow.
Those couldn't hear.
I don't know how to answer
reactions to people by their reactions to the work. Yeah.
By their reactions to my work, the people. When I was in my first photo class, all the men were photographing pretty women in cars. And it was really depressing. And it was really hard for me. I had to fight that. I just had to be on my own and just deal with it. And I didn't get any support. Is that a good answer? I don't know. And then I came to the Art Institute, and everybody was kind of like into their own thing, and nobody really supported each other, men and women. Yeah.
It would be like contemporary society. Like if there's anything that you feel like you've learned from people now doing this work.
Oh, interesting. Well, if you allow yourself, you will have a spiritual life. Is that the question? I mean, that's my feeling about things at this age. To have a moral life and a spiritual life, and we have to hang on to that right now very strongly.
That's a good spot to end it, actually, I think. Barbara Ramos, thank you so much.
I'm going to borrow this from you.
Right.
In the meantime, can we give one more hand for Barbara Ramos? This was a joy to look so closely at all of your work and to hear you talk about it. And Alexis, thank you for taking a close look as well and asking great questions, and all of you for being here and engaged and caring. It matters. I will be brief and let you know that we have, if you want to see these photos up close and personal, we have copies of Barbara's book at the front register. You can find it there. She will be back here signing them, so you can find the books at the front, come back here, have them signed. Give me like 2 minutes to clean all these wires out of your way. Just let's give it like a beat and it'll make everybody's lives easier. If you have any other questions, do let me know. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.